Hello students, my name is Jay Trivedi and I am going to teach you the subject of design of AC machine in this semester. So first of all, we have to look at the syllabus. Now there are mainly 4 units and we will basically focus on the design of induction, that is the AC machine. Okay, first of all, the first unit is about the design of an 3-phase induction motor, in which we will see various aspects regarding the design of an AC machine, that is in 3-phase induction machine. Okay, in which the entire unit is divided into 3 parts, that is main dimensions. Okay, and then there is stator design as well as the rotor design. As we all know that the machine generally consists of two main components, that is, one is rotating part, which is rotor, and one is the stationary part, which is known as a stator. Moving forward, in the second chapter we will have the design of a single phase induction motor. Okay, and then third unit is about the design of a synchronous machine, and the last is nothing but the application of a finite element method in design, which is one of the methods which is being used to design the AC machines. Okay, so today first of all we will start with the design of a 3-phase induction motor, that is unit number 1. In that also specifically we will look, or we will see, the topics are choice of specific loadings, output equation. These two main topics we will be covering in this lecture. So let's start. Now when we talk about an AC machine and basically a 3-phase induction machine, we know that there are two main parts, one is stator as well as rotor. Okay, now there are two main dimensions that we have to look after while designing a machine. One is D and another is L. Now what is D and what is L? How do we know that? Now in this figure we can see that we can see it is an armature of an induction motor. Okay, in this you can see that here this entire portion, the line I am drawing, shows capital D, that is nothing but the diameter of the armature. Okay, and the entire line from here to here, that is the length of the diameter. So now we know what is D as well as L. D is nothing but the diameter of the armature or the stator bore, whereas L is nothing but the length of the core. Okay, so we now know that what is D and what is L. Now these two are the main dimensions of an AC machine. Okay, now in another figure, if you want to have a look, what is the diameter as well as what is the length. Now here the diameter will be from here to here, it will be diameter of an armature, and from center, that is from here to here, it will be nothing but the length of the diameter. So now you can easily visualize what is D as well as what is L. Okay, now moving forward, now the first topic that we are going to cover is loadings on an AC machine. Now there are two types of loadings that we have to take care. The first one is total magnetic loading and second one is total electric loading. Okay, now what is the definition, or what are these loadings? So first of all, total magnetic loading we will be seeing. It is nothing but the flux around the armature. We know that in the construction of an AC machine there is a rotor, as then there is an air gap, and then there is a stator. Okay, now what is this total magnetic loading? How can we define it? It can be easily defined as total flux around the armature in the air gap. Okay, it is nothing but the magnetic flux that is present in the air gap. Okay, it is known as in total magnetic loading. Very easy definition. Now what is the formula for total magnetic loading? Now the total magnetic loading is given by P into phi. P is nothing but the pole and phi is flux per pole. It is the product of number of poles into flux per pole. So that is total magnetic loading. Okay, now next, total electric loading. Now what is electric loading? It is nothing but the total number of armature conductors around the armature periphery. It is known as electric loading. Now total number of ampere conductors. What does that mean? We know that number of conductors is represented by Z, and Iz is nothing but the current carried by each conductor. So our definition was total number of ampere conductors around the armature. So our total electric loading is given by Iz into Z, where Iz is nothing but the current carried by each conductor and Z is number of conductors. So total electric loading is nothing but the product of current carried by each conductor and the number of conductors. Okay, so there are two types of loading. One is total magnetic loading and another is total electric loading. Okay, now moving further, these loadings we have some specific loadings, and when we start to design these types of when we start to design a machine, the starting point of a design in a rotating machine is the two types of loading which are to be specified first of all. Okay, and those two types of loadings are specific magnetic loading and specific electric loadings. Okay, specific magnetic loading and another one is specific electric loading. Now what is specific magnetic loading? Now these formulas which we are seeing here, it will be very useful in deriving the output equation, so you have to remember these equations also. Okay, now when we move for the specific magnetic loading, what is specific magnetic loading? It is nothing but the average flux density over the air gap of the machine. Okay, what is specific magnetic loading? It is the average flux density over the air gap. Now what is flux density? First of all, the concept should be what is flux density. So flux density is nothing but, in simple words, it is denoted by B. Okay, and flux upon area, it is denoted by flux upon area. It is a simple formula of a flux density. Now what our definition says is specific magnetic loading is nothing but average flux density over the air gap of a machine. Now we know that flux density is nothing but flux upon area. Now we had seen what is magnetic loading. So it was nothing but the total flux in the air gap, which was denoted by P phi. Okay, and the area denominator, we will have an area as it is a flux density. So area is given by pi dl. Now what is this pi dl? How do we know this equation? It is nothing but the curved surface area of a cylinder, because when we look at the structure of our rotor, what happens? It is a cylinder. Okay, and pi dl is nothing but the curved surface area of the cylinder. So we get an equation of specific magnetic loading as P phi upon pi dl, and it is denoted by B average, because it is nothing but the average flux density over the air gap. Okay, now moving further, what is specific electrical loading? Now specific electrical loading is nothing but the number of armature ampere conductors per meter of the armature periphery. Okay, it is, so when we go for the formula will be total armature ampere conductors that we have already derived, that is nothing but Iz into Z, and the area armature periphery at the air gap, that is the outermost surface area, and it is given by pi d. So it is a ratio of Iz into Z upon pi into d. Okay, so these were the specific loadings of an AC machine, which will be very useful in deriving the output equation of an AC machine. Okay, so now moving further, we are going to derive the output equation of an AC machine. Now what is output equations? We must know that first. Okay, so when we talk about the output of an AC machine, how an output of an AC machine can be defined or expressed. Okay, so the answer is it can be expressed in the terms of its dimensions, main dimensions that we already talked about, D as well as L, its speed in RPS. Okay, another thing is its loadings, that is specific magnetic loading, specific electric loading. These all are the facts or the parameters based on which the output of an AC machine can be designed. Okay, now what is output equation? The output equation is nothing but the equation that shows the relation between all these parameters. Okay, so now we are getting what is the output equation. Output equation is nothing but the equation that shows the relation between all the parameters that can be used to that can be used to express the output of the DC machine. Okay, so now we will start the main part, that is the derivation of an output equation for an AC machine. Okay, so here we will start with, we are having an AC machine of M phase. You can consider it for any number of phases, that is generally we are doing it for 3-phase induction motor, so we can use 3 instead of M, and it is having only one circuit per phase. Okay, now what is the kVA rating of the machine? That is given by here, Q is equal to number of phases into output voltage per phase, current per phase, into 10 raised to the minus 3. Now number of phases we have assumed here is M. Now output voltage per phase is EPH, current per phase is IPH, and 10 raised to the power minus 3 is already present. Now here we have done a certain assumption, and that is terminal voltage of each phase is equal to the induced EMF per phase that we have considered. That is, the terminal voltage and the induced EMF are same. Okay, now what is the equation of induced EMF per phase? That we already have derived in the other classes. What is that? The induced EMF per phase, EPH, is given by 4.44 F phi TPH kW. Now here F represents frequency, phi is flux, T is turns per phase, and kW is winding factor. Okay, what is kW? It is winding factor. So now we know what is EPH. Now we can use this formula. In equation number 1. We can tell that this equation is equation number 1. Okay, now we will replace EPH with 4.44 F phi TPH kW. Okay, now when we place this, we get an equation that reads Q is equal to M 4.44 F phi TPH kW IPH in, now this is multiplication not addition, into 10 raised to the minus 3. Okay, now here we will also replace F by P ns by 2. How do we get this equation? So we know that what is the equation of synchronous speed? Synchronous speed is given by 120 F by P. 120 F by P. Synchronous speed is given by 120 F by P. Now this speed is in RPM, whereas this ns is nothing but RP. This is in RPS, whereas our capital synchronous speed that we have 120 F by P is nothing in RPM. So we need to convert this. So ns will be equal to ns by 60. Now what is ns? It is 120 F by P into 60. 62. So we'll get the equation F is equal to P ns by 2. Okay, so now you will be clear how we are getting the equation of frequency F is equal to P ns by 2. Okay, now when we replace all these things in our equation number 1, we will be getting an equation that reads Q is equal to M into 4.44 P ns by 2 phi TPH kilowatt kW IPH into 10 raised to the power minus 3. Now we will have to arrange these terms, because here if we arrange these all the terms in a specific way, we know certain quantities we have already learned, and we can replace them in this equation. So what we'll do, this 2 cuts, and then 2m IPH TPH will be remaining, and P into phi we have clubbed together here. Okay, so we have clubbed these terms together. Why? Now we know that we have learned just now what is P phi. What is P phi? We know that P phi is nothing but total magnetic loading of an machine. Okay, P phi we know it is nothing but the total magnetic loading. Now further we have clubbed 2m IPH TPH. Now current in each conductor IZ is equal to I phase. Why? It is equal. As we know, we have considered that there is only one circuit, at least that means that there is only one parallel path. Okay, so we will have Iz is equal to Iph. Now the total number of armature conductors is denoted by Z. So Z is nothing but number of phases into 2 into turns per phase. The 2 phases we have is M and number of turns per phase is 2 M TPH. We will get the final equation. Now when we total electric loading is given by Iz into Z. Now Iz we have already discussed, it will be equal to Iph, and Z we have right now derived 2M TPH. Now when we place this all the things in equation that we have already derived here, we will get an equation that is Q is equal to 1.11 kilowatt P phi Iz into Z Ns into 10 raised to the power minus 3. Now what is this P is phi? It is nothing but our total magnetic loading. What is Iz into Z? It is total electric loading that we have already derived the equations. Okay. Now as we move further, we know that specific magnetic loading was given by the equation BAV is equal to P phi upon pi dl. Okay. Now here we are having P phi. So you can use this equation by taking pi dl, the entire term on the other side. We will have P phi is equal to pi dl BAV. Okay. In the same way, for the specific electrical loading, we can have Iz into Z is equal to pi dAc. Okay. So now what we will do, we will replace this over here, these two equations over here. Okay. Now when we replace those equations, we get the equation over here. Q is equal to 1.11 kilowatt pi dl BAV pi dAc Ns into 10 raised to the power minus 3. Now when we multiply both the things, 1.11 pi square BAV/AC kilowatt into 10 raised to the power minus 3 d square lns. Okay. Now what happens when we multiply 1.11 into pi square? We will get approximately 11. So they have already directly used 11 d square lns, and they have replaced this entire term with a coefficient that is C0. So our final output equation will be Q is equal to C0 d square lns. Okay. Now here C0 is nothing but the output coefficient of the AC machine, and this entire equation is the output equation of a AC machine. So here we have finished the derivation of the output equation. It is a little bit complex, but if we follow the proper procedures and we know the value of each and every parameters, then we can easily derive. If you have any questions, you can contact me.